19 hidden details you missed in Spider-Man 3. Number 1. Let's pause for a moment. Several newspapers feature headlines lauding Spider-Man for rescuing a baby from a burning building. This could be a direct callback to Peter's heroic act in the first Spider-Man. Number 2. We also see a quick shot of a girl picking up a magazine titled Why New York Loves Spidey, and if you look closely, you'll see that the magazine is authored by Ray Frank, most likely serving as an homage to Frank Giacoia, a comic book artist who contributed to Marvel under the pen name Frank Ray. Number 3. In the theater scene, you can see Peter watching Mary Jane perform like a proud boyfriend, and the camera subtly shifts towards Harry, who's watching from a private box. But there's a remarkable detail that could easily be overlooked here. The exit sign, usually bright red, is mostly in shadow due to the specific lighting in this scene. This creates the illusion of a black shadow overtaking the red color of the sign, serving as yet another foreshadowing of how Venom will eventually take control over Spider-Man later in the movie. Number 4. In the scene where Peter praises MJ's performance and tries to reassure her about the audience's applause, he delves into an explanation of physics concepts related to sound waves and their behavior during propagation.
It's the acoustics. It's all about diffusion. It keeps the sound waves from grouping. You see, when the sound waves, they propagate, then it's like
You are such a nerd.
But it's this very nerdiness that proves crucial in the final battle against Venom, where Peter uses his knowledge of acoustics to exploit Venom's vulnerability to sound frequency. Number 5. When the patrolling police car is looking for Flint, there's a clever Easter egg with the number plate. The plate reads 7703. Which is a nod to Marvel Comics' The Amazing Spider-Man 7703 featuring Hob Goblin. Interestingly, a silver goblin helmet can be seen a few minutes later in the background when Harry Osborn becomes the new Goblin. Number 6. When Flint looks at the letters he sent his daughter, there's a small continuity error. The sending address is from the Department of Corrections, New Jersey. But later, a police officer mentions to Captain Stacy that Flint broke out of Rikers, which is the largest jail in New York City and not New Jersey.
Flint Marco, the guy we tied to the Ben Parker homicide.
What about him?
He just broke out of Rikers.
Number 7. Flint's cool green and brown striped shirt is pretty recognizable, right? But here's a cool detail. The wallpaper in the background of the scene where Flint's trying to patch things up with his wife also rocks the same green and brown vibe. Talk about attention to detail. Number 8. If you look closely during the scene where Peter has his first fight with Harry as the new Goblin, you'll notice that this is the same alley where Peter discovered his superpowers in the first Spider-Man movie. And now this alley serves as a pivotal turning point in the story of Harry Osborn as well. Quite an iconic alleyway, I'd say. Number 9. In Spider-Man's first fight with Harry as the new Goblin, Harry throws a pumpkin bomb at Peter, and he responds.
hate those things.
This callback to the first Spider-Man is pretty obvious, because back then, the Green Goblin used a similar pumpkin bomb, which blasted Peter into a wall and nearly killed him. So, Peter's hate for the pumpkin bombs is pretty justified. Number 10. In the scene where Peter and MJ visit Harry after he loses his memory, the nurse comments on them being lovely friends, and Harry refers to them as his best friends.
You have lovely friends.
My best friends.
Then, at the end of the movie, when Harry's about to die, he calls Peter his friend, and this time it's Peter who responds.
You're my friend. Best friend.
Completing the circle of their friendship. Also in the same earlier scene, Harry says,
Give my life for them.
which does end up foreshadowing his death, when he puts himself in front of the glider that Venom threw towards Peter. The poetic conclusion to Harry's character is foreshadowed within the first 30 minutes of the movie. Number 11. In the scene when MJ tells Peter about her play's bad reviews, you can see in the background pictures of Aunt May, Uncle Ben and Aunt May possibly with Peter's father, and a photo of MJ on Peter's desk. What's interesting is that the picture of MJ is actually the same one that Peter took back in the first Spider-Man movie at the Genetic Research Institute lab when he was bitten by the radioactive spider. Number 12. MJ struggles to open Peter's apartment door, to which Peter replies,
It's stuck again?
foreshadowing one of the most iconic scenes in the movie where, under the influence of Venom, Peter abuses his landlord Mr. Ditkovich.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
One other interesting Easter egg is that the character Ditkovich is named after Steve Ditko, the co-creator of Spider-Man alongside Stan Lee. Number 13. When the police radio in Peter's room reports of a crane accident happening, Peter has to leave, so he tells MJ,
Go get him, Tiger.
calling back to her dialogue in Spider-Man 2.
Go get him, Tiger.
Here, she encouraged Spider-Man to go get them right after they kissed. But this time MJ has a look of disappointment instead of encouragement. Number 14. In the whole scene at the Daily Bugle studio, we see several newspapers in the background, the majority of which are against Spider-Man, calling him a wannabe crime fighter. One news frame states, "Spider-Man no more." Another frame reports Charles Manson getting caught, while one has the headline "Live It Up," talking about women marching on the 50th anniversary of women's rights. One headline mentions Spider-Man and Green Goblin terrorizing the Bugle, and mentions that the chief editor was attacked, along with a picture of J.J. Jameson from his early days. This is a callback to the scene in the first Spider-Man where Green Goblin attacked the Daily Bugle office.
Jameson, you slime! Who's the photographer who takes the pictures of Spider-Man?
Number 15. When one of the writers pitches ideas to J.J. Jameson for taglines, he highlights that the circulation at the Daily Bugle hasn't been as good as its competitors.
As you know, circulation at the Bugle's been pretty good, though not as good as the New York Times, or the Daily News, or the Post, or several other smaller. Get on with it!
All of these newspapers were shown at the beginning of the movie praising Spider-Man, in contrast to the Daily Bugle's critical coverage, which likely explains why they're doing better. Number 16. When introducing Eddie Brock to Peter, J.J. Jameson mistakenly calls him Bruckner.
Parker, you're late, maybe too late. Bruckner here, beat you to it.
Brock, sir.
This could be a nod to a Marvel Comics character, Bruckner, who first appeared in the Amazing Spider-Man comic number 359. In this comic, there's a crane incident and is largely set in the Daily Bugle's headquarters, mirroring the scene in this movie. Number 17. In the scene where Peter presents J.J. Jameson with his own photograph of Spider-Man, Eddie asks how he managed to take pictures so high up, to which Peter replied,
Climbed, nearly fell off a flagpole.
which is a funny way of saying he's Spider-Man, as no normal human could possibly get these pictures. Number 18. During the Spider-Man celebration, you can spot a sign saying, "Come to my parlor." It's possible that Peter saw the sign, and that's where he went to get his cool new haircut later in the movie. Number 19. Another sign is shown with the text, "Is there a Spider-Woman?" And shortly after, the next shot focuses on Gwen Stacy, who debuted as Spider-Gwen in 2014's Edge of Spider-Verse number 2. As there were talks of potential installments of Spider-Man 4, 5, and 6 in the pipelines, this could have been Marvel Studios' creative way of foreshadowing future plans for Gwen Stacy. Or maybe it was just a coincidence.